أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي صدق الله العلي العظيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we continue the 15th lesson in our series on the basic Arabic grammar course. So we've reached the penultimate lesson and probably the last lesson for the grammar part of this component of this class. So we're looking at the forms 1, 2, 3, and 4, which we've covered already, but we'll go over those briefly again. And then in particular, we're going to look at 5 to 10 of the remaining forms. Right, so this is a very busy slide, but I think you know all these things already. So I'm just going to do a very quick recap. So we had two tenses. We had the past tense and we had the present tense. We notice for the past tense, there's only suffixes that appear as it comes before the verb, kataba. And in the present tense, we notice this alif, the noon, the ya, and the tas coming in as prefixes, and then as well as some suffixes like ani, there, and una there, and just another there, and another there. So there were both prefixes and suffixes in the present tense, and we said this future tense, you just add a sir or a sofa before it, and you get future tense. Then in terms of the moods, the main feature of the subjunctive mood was this fatha at the end of the word in the singulars, which is in this, as well as in these two plural forms. You notice the noons fell away here from the jewel from the previous this chart here. The noons fell away, and here we have the noon replaced by an alif. Here the same thing happens there, and here the noons stay, and the first person takes the fatha ending again. So the main thing to look out for is the fatha in these here, and as well as the noons that fell away. Then when you compare it to the jasr mood, we said it looks the same except for this one now takes a sukun, the circle, right, on top, on the last letter. And then here you notice the noons fell away again, and here the noons were replaced by an alif, and there the noons remained almost the same as. So these two charts are similar in that the two modes. And here we said the subjunctive has always got particles before it, that li, like, and hatta. And here we had in, lam, and la. Right, so these are the three here, and there we had about a group of about four, about six almost, that preceded that mode in the subjunctive. Then we went to the imperative or the command, and we said that you can only give a command to somebody who's in front of you, so therefore only second person applies. And this is the version of where it's like the jasr with the sukun case, the ending there. And the other changes in this second form to this second form, you notice the ta that was in the front of this one got replaced by an alif. And we said it can either take a u or an e in the form one verb, and then the last letter takes the sukun. And here you notice the noons are falling away, and that noon got replaced by alif, and that noon remains. So essentially this looks very much like this mode on top, the jasr. And in the imperative, we said it's only the second person that applies. So in summary now, the one characteristic you look at in the form one features are the fact that the alif, nun, ya, ta, those innate letters that we said are always prefixes. These four letters take the fatha generally, right? Like aktubu, naktubu, yaktubu, taktubu, etc. Now that's the one feature you got to look out for when you're trying to identify is it a form one or another form verb, because we're going to see some other vowel vowels coming in the other forms that we're going to look at now. Okay, so we gave you this 10 forms at a glance. We said you can take any 3 letters and fill it in where the fa'ala is, and then you will find in the form 1 we get 3 options where you notice in the past tense it can look the same, but if you look at the present tense, here you have a dhamma, here you have a kasra, and here you have a fatha. And we said when it takes a dhamma in the middle, then the alif takes a dhamma as well, it agrees. But for the other two, the kasra and the fatha, those two become the same way it takes an alif with the kasra. So these two, can you see, it takes alif kasra. Now why I'm showing you this feature is that because in the fourth form, this one here, you notice it's got an alif prefix, okay? And then when you change it to from past tense to present tense, you notice the ya takes a dhamma. So this is the one feature that's different. Can you notice here? Yeah, I told you that anate always takes fathas, right? This alif nun yata in the front takes fatha. Here you notice all the alif nun yatas in the front take dhamma, right? So this is the one characteristic feature of these three forms that are shaded in green here. Right, so present tense takes the alif nun yata or the dhamma, and then as far as the remaining vowels go, this fa'ala becomes fa'ilu. Fa'ala becomes fa'ilu, and af'ala becomes yuf'ilu. So if you look at, this is what I was talking about, a V shape, so it goes like dhamma followed by a fatha, then a kasra, then followed by a dhamma again, right? So that's where I get the V shape from, if you look at the sequence of these vowels, right? And then as far as the imperative or the command goes, all we're doing is we're changing this to the second person. So it will be tu fa'ilu. Ta normally gets replaced by alif in the first person in this one here. But here you notice that the alif also doesn't appear. If you look at all these imperatives, they don't have the alif of that second person just like we had in the form one table. Right? So that's one feature you notice. As for these here, they do take alifs, but then if you look at the alifs are in the past tense as well. So this alif is not to be confused with the alif nun yata. This is the alif of the verb itself. Okay. So here the main feature we're looking at is a tajdid here. Got a letter. Can you see that ayn got a tajdid? And that tajdid carries on even in this particular one, and even in the imperative, it comes up there. As far as the third form goes, it's got an alif infix here. Can you see the alif is in between the fa and the ain? So you get fa'ala. And here it remains yufa'ilu. So the alif is still there. And there is also the alif there to show you it's the third person. Then with the fourth form, we said it's an alif prefix. So it comes before the fa'ala, af'ala. And here it takes yuf'ilu, different from these. Right? There's a characteristic difference there. And here also we have the alif taking a fatha, which is the other. You see here we had dhamma, here we had kasra. So here we have the fatha coming in to show the fact that it's an imperative of the fourth form and not of the first form. So, okay, then we move on to form 5 and 6. Now, if you look at form 5, has got a form 2 characteristic fa'ala and then with the added ta in the front. So this fa'ala is there as well. It's an added ta in the front. Again, don't confuse us with the innate alif nun yata because this ta is part of the verb itself. It's not for she or for you, right? Like the ta we had in the first forms. Right, so the fa'ala is all fathas here. Notice all the vowel signs there. Here in the present tense, it's fathas, so the one dhamma to show present tense. If you had to show it in the subjunctive, it would be in the fatha here at the end. You have to show it in the jasr, it would be a sukun at the end. So essentially those modes apply to even all these forms, right? Where you, the same rules apply here. يتفاعل, يتفاعلان, يتفاعلون. And the ta will be تتفاعلوا, تتفاعلان, تتفاعلنا, or تتفاعلون, whatever the case, the conjugation table shows us. Right, and then the fa'al is the imperative here. You notice it's sukun showing you that it is the command form of that verb. And then we move on to the 7, 8, 9, 10. Now here you're looking at a prefix, a longer prefix. There's an in here, in fa'ala. Here it's an alif with a ta infix, prefix and a ta infix. So if ta'ala, this one is unique. It's if Allah. It's for colors and defects of the body. And then the last one is the longest verb where you have alif, sin, ta. You have 3 letters as a prefix and the fa'ala coming at the end. All right, so here it's easy to remember. You just remember 7 as the in thing. All right, I told you that one. 7 is the in, that how I remember it. And if ta'ala, you think of it as ijtama, like ijtima, that verb form, then you know it's the 8th form. This one is iswadda, is to become black. Ihmala is to become red. Colors ahmar and aswad. You can link it to the verb itself. And then istafala is like istaghfara, like istighfar. When you when you ask for forgiveness, you use the word is istighfar, or istaghfara means he asked for forgiveness. And yastaghfiru is the present tense, and yastafil is to the command form of it. We did say generally there's no imperative for the 9th form, although they do show it in other charts, but I'll show it to you. But generally, you don't give a command to become red or to become black or whatever the case is. All right, so this is in a nutshell all the 10 forms. It's not very difficult to remember, because you must just remember these features of the tajdeed here, the alif here, alif prefix here. Here it was a ta in front and a tajdeed. Here is a ta in front and a alif. Here is the in thing. Here it's a alif and a ta inside. Here this one, and here we said it's alif sin ta. So if you remember these characteristic things here, you will come a long way in understanding what the verb forms are. Okay, we'll see it in practical application. I like it to look at a certain picture of it. So if you look at kataba, this is a real verb, no? Not like fa'ala, which was just a made up 3-letter verb, although there is a verb like fa'ala, to do, but you won't find fa'ala in all those 10 forms. And they just use fa'ala as an example in that one, just to show you how the 10 forms look. But if you remember specific examples, like kataba yaktubu, you remember alif takes tamma because of this middle letter here. Jalasa yajlisu becomes alif with the kasra, and alima ya'lamu, so both kasra and fatha here take alif with the kasra on it. So this is the form 1. You get it in 3 like formations. You just remember one example of each, and then all of them will either fit in one of them for sure, right? Definitely. And then the form 2, we said, and these are in the light green, so they've got similarity in terms of the shape of the vowelings, right? Where you have, that formation of all on top here, then you have that V coming in there, and here you just have the V shape, right? The alim, can you see the, here it's a fatha, here it's a dhamma, a kasra, and there it was a sukun at the end. So this is the second form. Then the third form is normally to the act of writing to somebody else. Lama is to do a teaching, so it's the act of is passing on information, because ilm is knowledge. You're sending information to somebody else. So allama is the he taught. The meaning of it is he taught. Kataba is he corresponded, or he wrote to somebody. Alama is to inform, and yu'limu is the present tense. So here, the distinguishing factor between the form 4 and the form 1s are the fact that in this one here, the alif comes in front. Here the ya takes a dhamma, unlike these two that took, all these took fathas there. Here it takes dhamma. And then here the characteristic is this kasra feature here. Here it takes alif with fatha in terms of the command form. All right, so we've covered these in the last lesson. So let's look at the new lesson, which is essentially these here, 5 and 6. Ta'allama is to learn, right? Where you're doing the act of seeking knowledge, but doing it yourself. Ta'allama is he learned. Yata'allamu is he is learning, and ta'allam is to learn. We like learn something or study something. Tanawala is to partake of, like normally to eat. So tanawal to al-asha, I had supper, etc. So tanawala is where you have a ta in front, alif infix, and that's a verb that is a real verb for the sixth form. Here with inqalaba, I told you 7 is an in thing, so in is always with the 7 formation. And then alif and the ta infix here to give you the 8th. And the 9th is ihmala, is to become red or to blush. He blushes here, and then if you could ask somebody to blush, then ihmar will be the command form of the verb. Istaghfara, alif sinta, the longest verb that you can see here. There's 3 letters before and the 3 root letters. So it's a 6-letter verb. Unlike anything else we've studied before, here it's 5 letters or 4 letters, whatever, but this is the longest verb and this is the longest number as well, 10. Right? Istaghfir. I did tell you about the Roman letters. Why it's important is if ever you use an Arabic dictionary, you'll find that they will show you these, these numbering patterns instead of the normal numbering, the Arabic numbering that you see here in the 5 and 6. Okay, so I want to show you now a few examples of 5 and 6. Now, these are very commonly used words. They based on modern standard Arabic. You find some of these even appear in the Quran. But essentially, it's more in common day usage. You'll find these verbs appearing very high on a word frequency list. Right? So ta'allama is one example of it. Now, if you look at all of these here, they've got the same feature. They are all form 5 till there. Right? Where there's a ta in front, there's a tashdid in the middle there somewhere, on the 3 root letters. And all of them got the same thing. Can you see the ta there and the tashdid there? So when you're looking for a verb, all you're looking for mainly is the 3 root letters, right? When you're looking in a dictionary. So here you're looking for haraka, here you're looking for kalama, here you're looking for mim, noon, and a ya, here you're looking at alif, kha, and a ra, right? And then the other things, the tas in the front and the tajdid in the middle is a characteristic of form 5. Right? So the verbs that take the form 5 have all the same features in the past tense. If you look at the present tense as well, the alif, nun, ya, ta coming in with ya. Now here you notice the ya takes a fatha, right? Just like the first form. In the 2, 3, and 4, remember the ya took a dhamma, which was different. Here the ya takes a fatha again. Here also the ya takes a fatha. So all these with the form 1 take ya fatha. It's only 2, 3, and 4 that take the dhamma form on the alif nun yata in the front. All right, and you notice those features coming in again, the ta and the tajdid, the ta and the tajdid, the ta and the tajdid. In all of them, you notice going down the line, it has the same features. And here you notice the imperative has just got that feature of the sukun at the end of the verb. And with nothing, with no other letters, there's no anate in the front, no alif nun yata in the front. Obviously, because and also the second person. This is not the second person ta. Here, there's no alif or ta that comes in this one at all. It's just the bare form itself. The tamanna here Notice the tamanna here, and here you notice the tamanna as well. It's just the bare form with the sukun at the end. Here we didn't take a sukun because the ya is like it just becomes an alif in terms of the sound. Tamanna. Okay. All right, then we have the form 6, and here we've just got 3 examples of form 6. Ta'awuna is to cooperate, where there's 2 parties involved. Tarasala is also from risala, is a letter. When you correspond with somebody by writing a letter to them, then you're corresponding with. So therefore, you notice the ta and the alif coming in the 6th form is the features here. This one here, tanawala, is obviously you're going to take part, or you're going to eat something, and you can eat alone. So in this one here, that meaning of doing it with somebody else doesn't necessarily apply, because you can eat on your own. But in this one, corresponded and cooperated, there has to be 2 parties, and that's how one of the meaning patterns of the form 6 comes in there. There's 2 groups involved doing this particular action. Well, and then we look at the remaining groups, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. In 7, I've just given you 3 examples. In Zalaka, in Kasara, and in Talaka, you notice the common features are in. 7 form is in thing. And Yanzaliku and Inzalik is the character form. And then we have the form 8, where we have alif and the here. This one I must explain, because if you look at this one here and this one here, right, if you know 7 to be the in thing, here you notice in 8 you also have an in and then tadara. But here what gives it away is, you look at the root form is nadara. Right? Nadara is to look at something. Intadara is the 8th form version of it, where here the nadara is the root, and alif and ta infix is what you're looking for in the 8th form. There's another example here of intaha as well. Even this one, intashara, where although there's an in front, but in actual fact, the main letters are nashara, and here is nahaya. Nahi is to complete something, to finish something. So intaha is he completed. Nashara is to publish. So intashara is to publish. So there is a bit of ambiguity with these, where there's an in front of sometimes the 8th form, but it's not actually an in. Is this in here, which is in the 7th form, because this is a feature of the 7th form, is the in thing, but the 8th one has got alif and a ta. So if there's a ta inside, then you can suspect that it's in 8th form rather than a 7th form. Right? You notice here there's no ta in these here at all. So the characteristic feature here is the ta in the 8th form. All right. Now here also you notice the same format of the voweling similar pattern. And why I say zigzag is because it says it kind of goes up, down, and then that way, it goes from down to up to down to up. It's kind of a zigzag formation of the vowel patterns in this particular one. That's why I've called it zigzag, but it's just the way it looks. All right, so then we go on to 9 and 10. Now here, I'm going to just give you 2 examples. Iswadda from Aswad, Hajar al-Aswad, it's a black stone. He became black. Iswadda is the verb form, to become black, where you say your heart becomes black as a result of evil and sin. Then you can say Iswadda as the verb to talk about the darkening or the blackening of the heart. Ihwalla is to squint, where your eyes are not aligned. And that's an example of a defect of the body. But these are very rarely found, rarely used as well. It's just something you just need to remember is form 9s are for colors and defects. All right, form 10, you find quite a few examples of it, with alif sin ta coming in the front. Khadim is a servant, so istakhdama has nothing to do with the khadim, but where you use something, you say istakhdama, right? Even istamala is a similar meaning of he used. And istakbala is to receive guests. Istayqadha waqadha yaqdi is to wake up. Istafada from mufid is you benefit from something. Istiara is to borrow something from somebody. So alif sin ta, while they say the general rule is you asking for something, but you notice you're not always asking for something. If you look at these meaning patterns here, it's only the istaghfara has got, he asked for forgiveness. That alif sin ta meaning that comes in there. But otherwise, it's just a normal verb. It is just a longer verb, and it means what it means. Right? Okay, so those are the 10 forms. Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't expect you to learn all these words, but if you can remember just one of these that apply, and in my case, I like to look at it as this particular table, where I remember one verb, which is allama for form 2, kataba for form 3, alama for form 4. So different verbs, but why I like allama here and alama, because here you look at alima, here you have allama, and here you have alama. So you're kind of looking at three different verbs, three different forms, but it shows you the characteristic feature there. There was a dhamma, here was the alif prefix. This was just a straightforward three-letter verb. And here the meaning is alima is he knew, and here it's he learned, and here is he alama is he informed. Okay? If you remember these, that makes it. So the tajdeed here, the alif infix and the alif prefix is what you must remember is the main features here. Then we take the form 5, which is kind of uh, a reflexive of allama. So allama here was to teach. The opposite of teach is to learn. So the allama here comes in here, number 5. Here is to participate or to partake of something, tanawala. I told you 7 is always the in thing. Here I remember it is ijtima. Ijtima is a gathering or a conference. And ihmala is to do with colors. And istaghfara is to ask for forgiveness. So if you can remember this chart, and essentially it's these three columns as well, because if you look at present tense, here the feature is always the dhamma. Right? All of them have got that common feature of dhammas coming in at the end. Right? If you want to change it to the moods, the subjunctive, and all those dhammas become fatha. Right? If you want to change it to jasaf, we said it becomes a sukun. Right? So here it will become tukatib. Let's give you this example here. Tukatib in the jasaf. Or tukatiba will be in the subjunctive of this particular form 3. And then if you have the imperative is the command here. And here you notice the alifs come in here, right? And in all the others, the alifs don't appear. Now, this is the thing here, that alifs don't appear. This alif is part of the prefix that we see here. And therefore and the main feature is the sukun at the end of all these ones show the command form in that way. So if you keep this chart in the back of your mind, always it will be a guide as to how to analyze things when you're looking at the Quranic examples. And I've taken Quranic examples from short surahs that we all have learned. And some of them are easy, some not so easy, because the trick is to find the 3 root letters, right? So let's start off with this an'amta. Sirat al-ladhina an'amta. Now here we have an'ama. Can you see the main nun ain mim is the 3 main letters you look for, is the root. The alif is a prefix. Okay, and this the end is the tumatum, titumatuna for the past tense verb, right? So an'ama, you look now in your table of which one resembles that with the alif prefix. If you look at here, can you see form 4? Alif prefix, and then 3 letters. Alama is like an'ama, right? So this is the past tense of the form 4 in this example here. Right, can you see the similarity in the vowel between alama and anama? And the tertumatum obviously is just the past tense of the second person. All right, look at arsala. This is a straightforward, same thing. The three letters are arsala. And the alif is the prefix. This is also an example of the fourth form. At'amahum min ju, to feed or fed from hunger. Here you have ta'am, ta'in mim is the roots and the alif in front. That's also the fourth form. Now amana is a bit different in that if you look at amuna is the root, right? Amuna, yeah, amunu is the form 1 verb. Okay? And the form 4 verb is amana. Now how you get amana is you take alif, you add the alif to this amana. Right? So you get a situation where you have something like this, amana. You don't have normally a kalkala, like a sukoon, like a double alif following each other where you get a sound like a jarring sound like mana. You don't ever have that in Arabic. So what they do is they combine these two alifs into the alif there and they put that vowel sign to show the combination of this fatha or the sukoon as amana. So this amana is the fourth form verb. Like again, you're only seeing 3 letters, but in actual fact there are 4 like this. Because the first letter of the 3 root letters is an alif as well. So we don't say we say and then mana. Okay. Fasalli, salla is the verb. Salla with the lam having a tajdeed on it. The lam tajdeed is this one here, allama. Can you see that? So salli will give you the fasalli is the imperative like allim. So salli, and what happens is the ya falls away and the lam just takes the kasra and the ya is not there, but technically speaking it is from the root salla, which is, it has a ya in it, right? So sometimes letters do fall off, which sometimes complicates things for us as beginners and learners, but you do get used to it, that you notice, the word salah is to pray, and the verb salah comes from that as well. Salah is the way it's written here. Salli is the command form of salah. Nahara is the 3 letters. Now you notice this is an imperative sacrifice. Will this be, if you look at this form here, form 4, notice this is a fatha here. And you notice the fatha only comes in this particular one here, right? Here, lam. Can you see the lam takes a fatha there? So this one is a form 1. It means sacrifice, and this sacrifice is referring to a big animal, like a camel or an ox or a big animal that Allah commanded the Prophet to make a sacrifice of in this particular surah. Right, this one yu'tika. Now, a'ata is the actual verb. You notice it's got an alif in front. This again is this one here. Remember the alif in front? A'ata, and then the present tense is yu'ti. So can you see the ya with the dhamma here? This one yu'ti. So ya with the dhamma, yu'tika. Right? And this is the present tense of the fourth form. Fatarada, here you look for the 3 root letters. There's radiya here, and yarada is the present tense. Fatarada. Again, yarada resembles this one here. Right? Can you see a ya in front? And alif, the fatha on the top. So this is a form 1. Fatarada, right? This is feminine, the ta. Here, ya was masculine, the he, because we just use he as an example in these here. But in the actual fact, you can find it in alif, nun, ya, and ta versions. Right? So this is the ta version. Ta, the second person way, it means you. This one for hadith, haddatha, the only one verb that's got tajdeed. Actually, there's two verbs. This one here and this one here has got tajdeed. But you notice there's only got 3 letters. This one's got an extra ta in front. So it's not the form 5, it's a form 2. For hadith, this is this version here, giving you the form 2, the command form. Right? Just for the favor of your Lord, mention it. Okay, we look at other examples. Now, this one is kind of mixed. Allama, you know, tajdeed, so it's a form 2. Here's the word Salah, form 2 also, past tense. Now, akhraja, you see the alif here and the kharaja is your 3 letters here. So, akhraja is the form 4. And why is it ta? Is to show feminine, because arad, we know, arad is from our roots for feminine. Aradun, shamsun, those are few words that are feminine for just for no apparent reason, but just conventionally also it's used like that. So because arad is feminine, notice the verb takes a ta. It should have been a ta with the sukun, akhrajat, when it's kataba and katabat. But because this is a aliyah, you can't have 2 sukuns next to each other. You can't pronounce akhrajat and then the lam's also got a sukun. You're not pronouncing the lam and then you say out. So what people do is, because of this feature here, you make this ta takes a kasra in order to pronounce the lam that follows. So that's why you're expecting a sukun to change into a kasra because you had to pronounce the lam that followed it. And the ta is just a feminine indicator because the verb has to agree with the noun in terms of gender. Right? So this is feminine, this is feminine. And here's another indicator that it is feminine. Because when you talk of its burdens, the earth and its burdens, the ha is referring to other as well. So this is feminine, the word here is feminine, and the ta here is feminine, showing gender alignment in that sentence. Tuhadithu, then it resembles this one here, tuhadithu. Can you see that? The ta again feminine, because akhbar is a broken plural. So this one has to take a feminine tuhadithu and not yuhadithu. And then, so that also aligns in gender, and this is a form 2 example. For sabbih is obviously this one, sabbih. Can you see that, the tajdeed there? The sukun there. So this is the imperative of the second form. All right, now that was the form 2 and 4s. Now we'll look at a mixed up group where we can find any kind of a form. So the first thing we do is we look for the 3 main letters, alima, ilm, knowledge, right? Then it's wa, right? The way it says, wa alamu anna fikum rasulullah. So wa alamu, this wa will leave, from kataba, katabu, in the past tense, we have they wrote. Here it's wa alamu, like know that the apostle of Allah is among you. So it's the plural of a'lamu, and wa'alamu is again it will be this particular version here, right? Wa'alamu. Can you see it? Where you have a wa in front, so you don't say wa'i'lamu, you just say wa'alamu. You write the alif, but you just pronounce it with a sukun there. So this is the version here. This particular verb, wa'alamu. Ata, yutiu, we've covered before. The root verb is to'a, and this is the first form, ta'a yata'u, and ata'a yutiu is the fourth form. Okay, so fourth form, and then if you look at fourth form here, yutiu, here you have yutiu, yutiukum. So this is an example of a fourth form to obey. And the ya with the dhamma gives it away to be a fourth form here. Okay. Habbaba, you have 2 verbs, habba and habbaba. Habba is just a double verb, one letter is doubled, but habbaba is the other form of that particular verb, where you have the tajdeed coming in to show, and then the ba is added there to show it's a form two, and yuhabbibu is the present tense. So yeah, walakin habbaba ilaykumul iman. Allah is endeared, this second form to mean dear. Right, and the tashdid gives you the indication that it's a form two verb. Right? So this one and that one goes together. Same with zayyana. You notice a tashdid here. Zaya, nun, the roots. Zayyana hu. The who is the reference to the iman, I think, or something masculine. So zayyana is the second form here. Karaha is also a second form. You may notice the word hate with the tashdid coming in is just normal past tense. Okay, let's look at other examples. This one is a hadith example. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Here you notice gha, nama is your root, and the alif in front and the ta infix giving you the eighth form here. Can you see the eighth form here? اغتنم. This is an example of it, and اغتنم is the imperative. Right, so this hadith is here, and Ibn Abbas قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Right, so value or cherish five things before five. شبابك قبل حرمك. Shabab is your youth before old age sets in. صحتك قبل سقمك. Siha is your health before your sickness sets in. غناك, your wealth before your poverty sets in. وفراغ, your free time, قبل شغلك, before your business and your busy times in your life, and you appreciate your life before your death. So this is a beautiful hadith about appreciating five things before five other things set in our lives. Right, but here's the example of ightanim, just to mean value, to seize the opportunity or to value something before it goes away from you. Right, this example here is takhfir. Alif Sin Ta, we said is 10 form. Addada, simple one, also form 2. Akhlada, you notice alif in front, so it's a fourth form. This one, Tawasi, here we have form 6. We have a ta in front and alif. Right, Wasa is inherit or something. And Tawasi, it gives you the sixth form. And this is Tawasi. Can you see Tawa here? Because it's a ya at the end. So this one is unique. You have Tawasi. Right? Now, if you want to add a C and then you want to add a wow alif here because it's the third person plural, you have a difficulty with this word. How do you combine? This is got like a sukoon, and this one also has got a sukoon. So how do you pronounce this combination of cu? So you don't have this kind of a sound formation in Arabic. So here again, also what they do is they simply stop the ya because the ya is a weak letter. So this ya falls away, and the waw alif remains to show the plural. So that's how you get the wa. So to encourage one another, And then the last one, itataliu. Tala tulu is to rise, like tulu is shams. Right, tala yatlalu is to ascend or to come up. And itala is the eighth form. Remember here, the eighth form has got the alif and a ta inside. Right, so here you notice the la is there, and there's your ta inside. This ta here, can you see the ta in the middle? Now, in Arabic, again, you can't say it and with the to you on your mouth and then t. So it's difficult to say it. Your tongue is in different formation in the mouth, so it can't really say a combination of a to and a ta. So what they do here is they combine the ta, they make the ta, the heavy, they just add a tajdeed on it. So that's how you get it. But it's actually from this. Can you see the eighth form here? Don't confuse this to be the middle letter tajdeed, because here you notice the tala is the root. So tala, the ta is the first letter, and the first letter can't take tajdeed in the second form. Here it's just a combination of letters that combined that may give you that form of itala yataliyu. Okay, I was hoping to have covered more examples, but maybe I'll do that in the next lesson, which will become our final lesson for the series. So hopefully I'll carry on from here just to give you more examples from the Quran, and I've taken mainly Surah Hujurat, which maybe is something that you can just read through on your own. Try and read Surah Hujurat. It's a very short surah. It's in the 28th or 27th para. It's only about 2 or 3 pages long. There's a lot of advices in that particular surah, and I'm going to be using many of those ayat to look at the verb forms in those as they appear. And once you know this particular table, this table here that is the basis of all the 10 forms, then I think you will be on a solid ground to be able to work out what form that verb is. And once you know the root and the form, there will be some link between the root meaning and the form itself, and that will also guide you along in terms of giving you the meaning. Okay, so let me stop at that point. Let's stop with the reading of Al-Asr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal-Asr, inna al-insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu s-salihat, wa tawasaw bil-haqq, wa tawasaw bis-sabr.